Hey y'all, it's Dr. Shamanda. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things mental health, personal finance, and overall strategies to live your best life. Y'all, it is super early morning, but I decided to go ahead and film my video before I leave for work. And just excited about this video. So if you probably can tell by the title, this is another budget video. Now, if I sit here, I'm about to do budget videos, so y'all already know. And I feel like I have not sat here in a while, but it's only been 2 weeks because I just filmed my first paycheck for June, I guess 2 weeks ago, whatever, but it feels like forever. But anyway, today I am talking about my extra paycheck, my extra teaching paycheck. And this one was extra special because it is the final paycheck from teaching. And I must say I'm excited about this. It feels like closing the chapter of an experience that definitely I enjoyed. I enjoyed teaching. I still love teaching. I just, want to do it in a different setting and without all the extra stuff. I feel I'm able to teach via YouTube, whether that's personal finance, whether that's different mindset shifts and embedding some of the mental health strategies. And there's so much more that I'm going to bring to this channel. So this is the platform I will use to teach instead of the university setting where there's, lectures and papers to grade and, customer satisfaction, essentially. Like, I don't have time for that. Sorry. It's not, to me, it's just not, it doesn't work well with my mental health. And I'm in a space in my life where I need to focus on what's good for me and for those that I serve. So I feel appreciated by my YouTube community. So I'll continue to give you guys and bring value to you guys. So if you have any questions or anything, any topics you want me to cover, feel free to leave those in the comment section. All right, so what you came here for, let's talk about this final paycheck. Now, let me tell you what happened. So usually, and I'll tell you this, so if you want to be an adjunct professor, it is important to know that it's not a lot of pay in this, like, essentially. Now, you'll have some people who will tell you it's a lot of pay. That's because they teach for about 5 or 6 schools. And yeah, it's possible to do that, especially if you teach online. I was teaching online. I have taught in person. I've taught hybrid. So, but for this particular school, I was teaching online 100%. And I was teaching about 3 classes. And I'm not going to share exact numbers just because, respect for the university, whatever. But you can, let's say, from master's to doctorate, it is a difference for the most part. Now, with this university, I think they were in a union, so it's across the board the same pay. But if like any other organization, any other university, typically, if you have your master's or your doctorate, you can make anywhere between, I'm gonna say $1,500 to $6,000 per class. It depends. Now, keep in mind what I'm telling you per class. That class could be an 8-week class. That class could be a 15-week class, depending on if it's a quarter class or a semester class. So you do the math. So you hear 6,000, you think, oh, that's a lot of money. Oh my gosh. But you got to divide that into the weeks or the months because, like, for example, I was paid monthly. Most universities pay monthly. So that's $6,000 divided by, if it's 2 months, if it's 8-week class, then you're going to get $2,000. Excuse me. You're going to get $3,000 for that class for those 2 months, right? They're going to break it up. But that's $3,000 before taxes. So you might probably get maybe $2,500. But that's 8 weeks. And those 8 weeks, because it's a shorter class, it's a lot of work. Like, your students are doing a lot of papers, a lot of assignments, and so you have to grade. And you also have to stay and teach those students. Typically, those classes are about 3 hours in the evenings, maybe 2 days out of the week. So, well, 1 day out of the week is 3 classes or 3 hours. But you see what I'm saying? And most of the time, most adjunct professors, they work a full-time job as well because it's not a lot of, if you're only getting $2,500 a month, that's, for a lot of people, that's like their mortgage. So that's not enough to cover all your expenses. But again, keep in mind, I told you, most professors teach for multiple schools. And that is one class. So if this is all you do, you could probably, swing 3 or 4 classes. For me, I was teaching 2 or 3 classes at a time and working full-time in the mornings. So as you can see, that's why I was so exhausted and tired. And I try to give a lot, you know, and yeah. But anyway, just kind of give you an example of what that would look like. Now, that is one reason why I was able to pay off my car loan so fast, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. But that money went strictly to my car loan. So as you can see, over the last, I started out making $1,500 payments, then $2,000 payments, and then the last payment I made was $3,000 because essentially I was teaching a class that, how much was that getting? I don't know. I think it was like $4,000. I'll just share that. I think it's $4,000 for that class, that one class, right? And so if you divide that, but I was teaching multiple classes. So if you divide that, then you take away the taxes, then basically I was getting about $3,000 every month, if that makes sense, after taxes. So, but all of that went to paying off debt. Now that brings me to today's video. At the beginning of this quarter or whatever, I had this class that I just wrapped up last week, and then I had 2 other classes that were starting for the summer. I decided to not take those classes, to not finish those classes out for my own mental health, my own physical health, and I was just extremely exhausted. So I reached out to the chair and let them know, like, I cannot finish teaching these classes. I taught one class, and it was a combination of 2 classes, essentially, of the same class, and I just was like, I can't. So, but if I had finished those, if I had continued with those classes, then I would be making about the $3K after taxes. So, but I didn't. I only kept that one just to finish out. So I'm getting paid for that one. So essentially, after taxes for this paycheck, it's about $1,200. I'll put it that way, right? And so as you can see, that kind of threw off my budget, right? Because I was hoping, obviously, for June that I would be able to make another $3,000 payment, and I still will for the most part. So stay tuned for tomorrow in the car loan payoff video on Saturday. So you'll see how this pans out, because I did actually see some private patients, and I got paid for that. So all that's in my debt payoff payment or savings account for my payment this week. But I say all that to say, there was a trade-off. It was, deciding to stretch this out for 8 weeks of just working during the day and then teaching, and then having the money to make these car loans for the next 2 months or whatever, or deciding to walk away from that, for my mental health, for my physical health, and finishing up this class and knowing I would get this, at least $1,000 or something after taxes for that one class, again, because it was broken up into chunks, right? Or and having to figure out, like, how am I going to find the money to make these payments and stay consistent. So that was a trade-off, and I decided to, at the end of the day, it's not all about money. I need to make sure I'm healthy as well. And so, as you guys know, I've gotten rid of everything extra, teaching, private patients, all that stuff, and just preparing for my new full-time role that technically will encompass everything I was making from those roles anyway, but just one focus, one job. So I just kind of want to break that down for you guys. So essentially, this paycheck is a $1,207.93. That is, again, a monthly payment from multiple months of teaching just one class. So you do the math. I'm not gonna tell you exactly how much that the contract was, whatever, for this class. But I'm excited though, because like I said, it feels like closing the door on that chapter in my life, and it feels good. I feel light, and it's like, okay, all those nights of braiding, all those lectures and staying after and working, like, what I'm saying, you have to worry about that, racing home after work so I can try to get a nap in, so I could, obviously I was doing this and being motivated by the fact that I could pay off my car loan faster, and I'm closer to that goal, and so I don't regret it at all. But I'm so glad that that part is done, like that is done. I don't ever want to ever have to do that again. I don't care, no amount of money is worth your mental health or being exhausted and tired all the time. It's just not worth it to me. So anyway, so that is what this extra paycheck was, and this always transferred to my debt payoff savings account that I'll use to make my car loan payment later this week, or tomorrow, I guess, technically. And yeah, so I hope that is transparent and helpful for you guys, and hopefully you better understand. And for me, I'm gonna look back at this and be like, you remember when you was working, you was seeing patients, you was working during the day as a manager, you was teaching, you remember all that. And then when I have my title in my hand, my car title, it's gonna feel worth it to me. But I'm just so glad that I get the rest now, y'all. Like, I don't have to do that stuff anymore. And I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So now we need to figure out what we're gonna do for July, because I want to continue on this trajectory of paying off my car. But we'll talk about that again, more in detail tomorrow's video or Saturday's video. But anyway, I hope you like this video. If you do, like the video, comment, subscribe, share, and leave me something in the comment section. Have you had to let go on your side hustles? Have you slowed down, or have you picked up more side hustles because you're extremely determined and you are willing to sacrifice your time? I want to know how you guys feel out here. No judgment. I don't feel like I'm better than because I'm making this decision. We're all in different seasons of our lives, because 3 months ago I would have argued with you and been like, you gotta put in that time, you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, so people change, you know what I'm saying? But I'm curious to know how you guys feel. All right, thank y'all so much for supporting this channel. I'm at over 2,200 subscribers, so thank you guys. And over 2,200 hours of watch time. So we're getting closer to the next milestone of 3,000 watch time hours. So thank you. So every time you watch these videos, you're helping me get closer to monetizing this channel and, paying off the student loans. Seriously. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next time or tomorrow. So I'll see you soon. All right.